There are people who apologize like they're breathing. Sorry, quick question. Sorry, I didn't see your message. Sorry, this might be dumb. They say sorry when someone bumps into them. They say sorry in emails before they've even asked for anything. They apologize when they laugh too loudly, when they speak, when they simply take a chair in a crowded room. Somewhere along the way, sorry stopped being an action and became a personality trait. This isn't about shaming you for being considerate or polite. It's about understanding how sorry became your native language, why you feel like a walking inconvenience, and what it costs to live as if your very presence needs a waiver. We'll explore the childhood rules that trained you to shrink, the nervous system math behind your constant apologizing, and what it looks like to move from apologizing for existing to actually existing. You were never the problem. You just grew up in systems that treated your existence like one. Picture this. You're standing in a doorway at work, about to ask a simple question. There's a tiny pause, and before you even open your mouth, the word slips out. Sorry, quick thing. You're not late. You're not interrupting a crisis. You're literally doing your job. But your body acts like it's barging into a sacred ceremony. Or you're texting a friend, "Hey, sorry to bother you, no rush at all. Totally okay if not." You stack disclaimers like sandbags around a sentence that basically says, "Can you be a human with me for a second?" If they take a while to answer, you don't think, "They must be busy." You think, "I knew it. I asked for too much." You apologize when someone else bumps into you on the street. You apologize when the waiter gets your order wrong. You apologize when your phone rings, when your stomach growls, when your water bottle falls over in a quiet room. Your reflexive thought is not, "Oh, that was a moment." It's, "Of course I'm the disruption." And under all of these micro-sorries, there's a heavier belief. I'm taking up space I haven't earned. Every request feels like a withdrawal from an account you did not deserve in the first place. Every need feels like evidence, proof that you're high maintenance, too much, in the way. So you get good at preemptive repair. You walk a little quieter. You laugh with a hand over your mouth. You interrupt yourself mid-sentence. "Wait, I'm talking too much. Sorry." You say no to making plans, then apologize for being distant, then apologize again when your friends worry. Even your boundaries come wrapped in guilt. If any part of you is hearing this and thinking, "Wow, that's embarrassing," and also disturbingly accurate, you're not alone. If you recognize yourself in this, I'd love to hear. Where does your sorry show up the most? Texts, work, relationships? Share it in the comments if you feel safe enough. You'll probably find you're in very crowded company. To understand why you apologize for existing, you have to go back to when existence was not neutral. For some people, childhood came with an unspoken rule. Don't be a problem, not don't do problematic things. That would have been manageable. The rule was more global. Don't be loud, don't be needy, don't be messy, don't be inconvenient, don't require too much time or attention. Don't have feelings that last longer than the adult's patience. Maybe you had a parent who sighed every time you needed help, or snapped, "What now?" when you approached. Maybe you learned that asking questions made people roll their eyes. Maybe your joy was too much. Your tears were dramatic. Your mistakes were disasters. Children don't think, "My caregivers are overwhelmed and emotionally unavailable." Children think, "Something about me makes people tired. I am the burden." That's the beginning of apologizing for existing. It doesn't start with "sorry for asking." It starts with shame. Not, "I did something wrong," but "I am wrong." When shame settles in, it doesn't wait for an event. It colors the whole day. You're not apologizing for a specific behavior. You're apologizing because you believe your basic presence tips the room off balance. The nervous system learns this deeper than language. When you walked into a room as a child, You might have scanned faces to see if you were welcome. Were people tense, annoyed, distracted? Did you feel like you had to make yourself quickly useful by being funny, helpful, quiet, so that your being there felt justified? That scanning never really stops. As an adult, you walk into meetings reading micro-expressions like currency exchange rates. You notice the way someone's eyebrow moves, the pause before they answer, the slight change in tone. Your body interprets these tiny signals as you are on thin ice, so you apologize to buy safety. Sorry, this might be a stupid question. It's not about the question. It's a shield. It says, if I admit I'm a problem first, maybe you won't make me pay for it later. This is what trauma therapists call a Fawn response. Fight and flight are the obvious survival strategies. Freeze is the shutdown. Fawn is the one that looks like kindness. Appease, smooth things over. Make yourself small. Keep everyone calm so nobody explodes. You become the emotional shock absorber in every room. Fawning often looks like endless apologizing. You apologize for the tone of your email, then apologize again in a follow-up, just in case the first apology sounded defensive. You apologize in advance for not being perfect. You apologize after the fact for not having been psychic. Underneath, there's a hidden contract. If I'm endlessly accommodating, you won't leave. If I'm always sorry, you won't have to be. If I make myself responsible for every discomfort, maybe I can prevent abandonment or anger. The tragedy is that people around you often accept this contract without ever signing it. They get used to you being the one who bends. You become the friend who always says, "No worries at all," even when your plans were cancelled 5 times in a row. The co-worker who takes on extra tasks because, "Sorry, I should have spoken up earlier." The partner who says, "Sorry, I'm just being sensitive," when your hurt is actually very reasonable. The world rewards this. Workplaces call you low maintenance and a team player. Family members say you're the easy one. Romantic partners marvel at how understanding you are. People praise your flexibility, your empathy, your chill. They do not see that the cost of this ease is you disappearing. And apologies become the wallpaper. You barely hear them anymore. But your body does. Every sorry you don't mean is a micro-message to your own nervous system. You are at fault again. Be smaller next time. There's another layer. Apologizing is a way to feel in control. If everything is somehow your fault, then fixing yourself becomes the solution. That's less terrifying than acknowledging the randomness of life or the failures of others. If I were better, quieter, kinder, more organized, this wouldn't happen. It's painful, but it keeps the world coherent. So when something goes wrong, even if it has nothing to do with you, your reflex is, "Sorry, that's on me." You'd rather carry the blame than sit in the helplessness of, "This shouldn't have happened, and I couldn't stop it." Over years, this system starts to crack. You notice you're exhausted after social interactions that seem easy for others. You replay conversations, obsessing over whether you sounded annoying. You tone monitor texts like you're doing quality control at a factory. You pick emojis like they're landmines. People might tell you, "Stop saying sorry so much," as if you haven't tried, as if sorry is just a word you overuse and not a whole nervous system strategy built over decades. They don't see that when you try to stop. Your chest tightens. You feel like you're walking into a room unarmed. You are not weak for this. You are adaptive. Your apologies make perfect sense in light of what you survived, but what saved you then might be slowly erasing you now. So how do you begin to step out of this without feeling like you're becoming rude, selfish, or ungrateful? You don't rip sorry out of your mouth overnight. You start by noticing it. For a while, don't even try to change anything. Just observe. Where does it appear? With whom? In what tone? Do you type it more than you say it? Does it show up most when you're asking for help, giving feedback, expressing hurt, or simply taking up time? You can even keep a quiet mental list. There it was again, in that email. There it was when I entered the room. There it was when I said no. This isn't to criticize yourself. It's to make the invisible visible. Patterns lose some of their power when they come into the light. Then, gently, you start asking, if I weren't apologizing here, what would I actually be saying? Often, sorry is standing in for something else. Sorry for the long message might actually mean, thank you for reading this. It matters to me. Sorry, I'm being difficult might actually mean, I have a preference here, and it's important. Sorry for bringing this up again might actually mean, this hurt didn't resolve the first time, and I'm still carrying it. Instead of forcing yourself to be blunt or confrontational, you experiment with more accurate language. Swap sorry I'm late for thank you for waiting, when lateness wasn't negligence, but life happening. Swap. Sorry, this might be stupid for I have a question. Swap sorry, I'm a mess for I'm having a hard time. These shifts seem tiny. They are not. Each time you do this, you send your nervous system a different message. My presence is not a crime scene. It's okay for me to be here as I am. Next, consider whose voice your apologies belong to. When you feel the urge to apologize for speaking, whose reaction are you imagining? A parent? A past partner? A teacher who made you feel foolish? A group that mocked you when you got something wrong? Sometimes naming it helps. This isn't my adult self speaking. This is my 10-year-old self standing in the doorway, trying not to upset anyone. You can even privately talk back. You did so well surviving that. I'll take it from here. You might find it helpful to choose 1 or 2 people in your life who feel safe enough and tell them, hey, I apologize for everything. I'm trying to change that. If you hear me doing it, you can gently say, you don't need to apologize for that. Not as a correction, but as a reminder that in their presence, you're allowed to exist. Another practice is reclaiming small pieces of space on purpose. Take the full seat on the bus instead of curling into the window. Allow your laughter to be its natural volume once. In a group chat, send the longer message without 10 disclaimers. In a meeting, finish your sentence before trailing off into, anyway, it's not important. You do this not to prove anything to anyone, but to give your body new data. Look, we took up space and the world did not end. Some people even leaned in. There will be days where you overcorrect, where the word sorry still flies out of your mouth before you can catch it. That does not mean you're back at zero. Change is rarely a straight line. It's more like a spiral. You pass by the same places, but from a different height with more perspective. When you catch yourself apologizing for existing, that catching is progress. You're no longer fully fused with the reflex. There's a part of you standing slightly outside of it, saying, interesting, I didn't actually do anything wrong there. That observing part is the you that's growing. And yes, there will be people who prefer the version of you that apologizes for everything, the version that makes no demands, that absorbs all discomfort. As you soften your reflexive apologies, those relationships may feel strained, not because you're suddenly awful, but because you're no longer functioning as silent, emotional infrastructure. That can hurt. It can also be clarifying. People who love you, not just your compliance, will adapt. They might even be relieved to finally meet the you who has needs, preferences, and a spine. As you practice all of this, you may want a reminder on the hard days. If you find these words grounding, you can bookmark or save this video and come back to it when sorry is on the tip of your tongue and you're not sure what else to say. Sometimes we need the same reassurance more than once. Here's the truth you were never given. You were not born apologizing. You arrived loud, messy, needing everything, assuming the world would adapt. Somewhere along the way, life taught you the opposite, that you should adapt to everyone else, that you should feel bad for the space you take up, that the safest version of you is the smallest one. But you are allowed to be here without a disclaimer. You are allowed to ask questions, to make mistakes, to need reassurance, to change your mind. You are allowed to say, "I don't understand," without adding, "Sorry." You are allowed to set boundaries without apologizing for the fact that you exist and therefore have edges. If reflections like this help you feel a little less alone in your own head, you can subscribe for more. This space is for people who are tired of ghosting themselves. You don't have to swing from "sorry for existing" to "I never apologize" in one dramatic leap. It's enough to move slowly, from automatic guilt to gentle curiosity, from assuming you're the problem to asking, "Is that actually true?" From shrinking out of habit to standing your full height, even for a moment. From apologies as oxygen to breaths that are yours. From being the burden to recognizing the burdens you were handed. From "I'm sorry I'm here" to "I am here," and that is allowed.